And I wanted to ask Domonique, my partner in this segment of young, cool, non-white people, when he watches the kids these days, the kids who did the job that he did in the NFL, former professional quarterback, how much back in my day do you end up feeling?
None. They're so much better than we were. I gotta be.
You're not even gonna fight on this?
The cornerbacks is the most important position outside of quarterback in football. And I know you might think that I'm just being biased, but I think PFF did a thing a while ago where they did like a statistical analysis. And one of the more impactful things you can have is a really good cornerback for your defense. And they changed the rules a lot. When I was coming up as a corner, they were changing the rules in the process. They were making it, if you remember, after the Patriots won their first couple Super Bowls, they then tightened the rules on illegal contact, which made it really hard for us.
Yep, they were beating people up.
Right, and so they tightened the rules on illegal contact. The pass interference rules, they are written as if it is equitable, but they're not, like, treated that way. Like, offensive pass interference is rarely called. It's something you have adjusted. Quarterbacks get more protection. The game has gotten more and more difficult while I was in the league for cornerbacks. And so we grew up playing football a certain way. And then
you had to leave room for the Holy Ghost at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and that wasn't what we were used to. And then they also developed the back shoulder fade. These were things that didn't exist before. And so the game got harder and harder for us while we were in the league. And it was hard to adjust. And the thing that I've realized is the young cornerbacks in this game, when I first got this realization was a couple years ago, I saw corners playing the back shoulder fade in a way that we never considered. Because when you're teaching press coverage,
Let's go, nuts and bolts, teach me.
You're either with your chest to
You're opening up your hip or you're not, right?
Yeah, you've either fully opened or you haven't. So you either have your shoulders aligned with the line of scrimmage or you have your shoulders aligned with the line of scrimmage, but you're facing the other way because you're running with someone. And the corners were starting to do this side saddle technique where they were actually able to play the back shoulder and sprint. And that's when I was like, damn, I could never do that. And it just hit me that they had been the skills that had been coached into them were in a reaction to the league that they were looking at. And they were seeing this back shoulder fade take over the league. And so they developed a way to do it, a way to play against it. And I was just marveled at their ability to do that. And I think part of it is not because they're better athletes, but because the rules have been consistent for long enough for them to still be playing the same game that they grew up playing. Whereas for us, we were like, all right, this is football. This is football.
Wait, so you're saying that you as a cornerback is like you as a person, me as a person. We had to adjust from having a modem that screamed at us when we wanted to dial into the internet to then having an addiction to a cell phone that was going to be universes more confusing than what we knew as children.
I think that's a good example because you notice how younger people obviously have grown up in a world of social media and they just produce social media content that is good.
Yeah,
it just falls out of their
intimidating
out of their
hell.
face, and there's that's a great post from this random 14-year-old girl, and I'm like, you know what? I want to make social media.
Dude, I'm thinking so hard.
Let me think of something. All right, let me set this up. Let me do 4 takes. Oh, and I got to start it the right way.
I'm going to script this. I'm going to script this on a Google Doc first.
You know the kids make fun of you if you start social media videos with okay, they make fun of you because that suggests that you don't know what you're doing. But normally, we don't feel natural looking.
I need to address the magic object that is stealing my soul.
But they just start talking, and I'm like, all right, I got a camera up. Okay, this is what I'm here to say, but they're just talking, and that's the same thing with the modern
you're
quarterback.
You're starting a selfie video like you just heard a whistle blow.
Yes. All right, let's do it. But they just feel naturally. But yeah, I noticed that. And so Trayvon Diggs' ability to turn the ball over, it's just outstanding stuff that you see. J.C. Horn is one of the guys that I think is young and really talented. Not to mention, how could Sauce Gardner walk in the league and be the best damn corner in the league on day one? It's just absurd. The length and athleticism and coordination.
So the Sauce Gardner thing, his name indicates that there is a hype that was seemingly designed to not be met. But you're right. I'm looking at all of these advanced analytic rankings, and Sauce Gardner, cornerback for the New York Jets, has exceeded the hype. Why is he able to be this definitively the best?
So to be fair, it's about the rest of the team also. the rest of the defense also. And so that's why you focus on coaching not to win at a young age, and you focus on coaching to do things the right way. It's clear that this team works well together, and it seems that what he understands really well is the moments in the game. When there are times to take risk and when there are times not to take risk, when to give up something and when to take something away, because he's not perfect. No cornerback is perfect. And that's where the confidence of a corner is something that we talk about, and I wish everyone had, because we get mocked all the time because people are like, you know what, cornerbacks, if the quarterback throws an incomplete pass,
you're celebrating.
We celebrate like you did something, even if it's just a bad throw. You're goddamn right. Because out there, I'm expected to create miracles happen all the time. The refs are against me. Like, functionally, being a cornerback is like being a black man in America, which is possibly part of the reason why only cornerbacks in America are black men. Is like the system is designed for you to fail. And then when you start to succeed, they change the goddamn rules again. And then you start to succeed, they change the goddamn rules again.
Now you sound old.
Are you saying that Jason Sehorn can dance?
Probably. And then if I happen to have success, it's because you messed up. So I'm celebrating. Ain't nothing wrong with me doing a dance, because you're going to dance if I slip. No one is like, hey, they caught a touchdown and he celebrated because the cornerback slipped. So what? A win is a win. They're hard to get. Let's celebrate them.
Domonique mentioned earlier that the back shoulder fade just kind of appeared out of nowhere. Do we credit, like, is it Brady? Like, who is the inventor of the back shoulder fade?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Let's credit somebody right now. Let's give someone credit.
I would say that Stugotz could help look this up, but he
John back shoulder
just came in from a heater break and is now sitting with his feet up on the back row and isn't even listening.
He came in, he was just like, "Oh, Pablo's just interviewing Domonique about being a DB, huh?"
John back
real creative.
Wow.
But explain the.
But Domonique, continue to explain.
I have questions. This is what I actually
You guys
do
will make
kind
jokes.
of get
We'll
off
let
on.
you
Is
mother suckers drown.
I want to
right.
know about the confidence, right? Because the back shoulder fade, whoever we're attributing this to, maybe it's Brady, maybe it's whoever, right? We've seen it work in the Super Bowl. The feeling that you got when you were having to defend that was what? Because your job is theater of confidence.
Yeah, so it's frustration, obviously, because initially there are so many routes that you can run. And so when you're playing defensive back, what you're doing is when you're playing it in a smart way, you're trying to reduce the number of possibilities in a play. So you come out of the snap, all right, the down and distance, it's second and whatever. This team on this situation, more often than not, runs this particular play. The quarterback did a hard count, so he knows that we have shown where our blitz is. So when we're blitzing, they like to address the blitz this way. We've demonstrated that we are in man coverage and he's in a tight split. Man coverage in a tight split, they're probably going to do a crossing route. Narrow them, like essentially you're doing that before the snap. And then the play starts and you're like, all right, he's hard outside fake. Oh, he's setting up a slant. Nope, it's not a flake. He's running straight. This is a go or a hitch. Oh, we went past the hitch distance.
How many seconds have elapsed at this point?
I'm not done. We went past the hitch distance. Oh, this is too far. This is definitely a fade. I got the fade. Turn on the speed. Cut off the fade. Oh, he threw it behind him. What is this? This is not a fade. This is not a hitch. This is not what I am expecting. This is something entirely new that we do not have a technique to defend. So the way that we used to defend the back shoulder fade was give it to him, or change the coverage altogether, or change the defense altogether to compensate for it. Because if they throw a good back shoulder fade, the pressure can't get there quickly enough, and there is no technique that goes for that. And yeah, that's all probably, 2-3 seconds.
According to the Denver Post in 2014, Warren Moon in the 1980s with the Houston Oilers created the back shoulder pass consistently. Jack Del Rio believes it probably first appeared in the 70s with Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver Harold Carmichael.
Fart Bear reading Wikipedia is a good role for him.
So I guess not when it was born, but when it was like popularized, because if it was born in the 70s, I should know how to go. Maybe I'm just the only corner that never knew how to go.
I just want to point out, Chris, that your dad and Stu have never looked younger, giggling over the iPad in the back row like kids in the back of a classroom.
The best part is that they're just Googling Domonique. That's it.
What are you guys finding?
No, I honestly, I wasn't. I knew Domonique retired from the NFL young.
No. I knew he retired young, but I wasn't sure how young he was. And Domonique, I'm curious, in all honesty, was there a point later in your career where you covered a receiver who just kicked your ass, and it made you think, I cannot cover this man, it's time for me to retire?
That's how Greg feels watching us.
I'd say that it wasn't as much. You know what it was? It was in practice against Torre Smith. And so, like, my best attribute was speed, and he was a fast player. When I came back from my ACL tear, I tore my ACL right before the lockout. So when we were locked out, I was unable to rehabilitate with the team staff, and I came back and I just didn't have the speed that I wanted to have. And Torre Smith's a fast player, but he was never like so fast that I couldn't stay with him. But man, well done. Way to sabotage a good segment by tricking me into talking about the most
Domonique.
boring
Thank
part
you
of my
very
life.
much.
I'll try to save it. How do you cover the slant?
Was that invented after your time too, or
They're playing defense, ironically enough, on us.
the slant wasn't around when I was in the league?
Can we talk about 56 kbps modems? I miss those so much.
I don't know what any of those words mean. I know what a modem is. 56.
56 kbps. That's like where I hope that we would have frozen internet connectivity speeds. When you had to wait for a JPEG of Carmen Electra to unfurl down
Why
your
are we
screen.
doing this?
Because that's everything that we are talking about, where I feel kinship with Greg and Stu, is with high-speed internet. And if we just had 56 kbps modems, and I had to earn a JPEG,
This is heading
had to
straight towards
earn a certain something.
Yeah. You know what?
Earn these.
Riley Moss, my new favorite corner in football. Look him up.
Earn these nuts.
Look him up.